Similar news. A woman sentenced to compulsory psychiatric treatment for spreading so-called, Russia calls them fake news, which in reality are actual real news about the war. And Victoria Petrova was arrested and charged with spreading fake news. And in jail, she did not abandon her views, and so some pieces of shit, garbage, absolutely atrocious human beings psychiatric committee evaluated and declared her legally incompetent because she believes that what Russia is doing is absolutely atrocious, and she, I'm assuming, supports Ukraine and wants Ukraine, obviously, to win the war and things like that. And now she has been sentenced to potentially indefinite compulsory psychiatric treatment. Just think about it. If you've ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or, maybe you've experienced something being in a psychiatric ward, or maybe somebody from whoever you might know, have been there. This is potentially even worse than jail, because you are at sole fucking will and whim of those personnel who work there. And they're not good human beings. They're absolutely not. So, once again, just so we understand what kind of regime we're dealing with. And I'm going to link, obviously, all of these news in the video description so you can read more about it. But, yeah. So, if you condemn the war, if you show actual reality of Russia bombing the fuck out of Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, cities, just regular places where people live, rest, eat, whatever, right? You are already like an extremist. And more to that, if you don't abandon these views, not only you go to jail, but you might be locked up at a psychiatric ward. Because this now in Russia, not sort of aligning your views with a fucking party, one Führer, one party. It's literally like Russia has turned into Third Reich. It's a literal fucking fascist country. It's a terrorist state. But there are people who are really standing against this, and they deal with consequences of this thing. And so, if at some point you hear that, Russian people don't protest, Belarusian people don't protest, so on and so forth, you must understand that for sticking out, there are consequences like that. And by protesting or whatever, doing that kind of shit, like, you're not going to help anybody. You're not going to help Ukraine to win the war. You're not going to do anything but put yourself into absolute danger. Real and imminent danger. Because if they have your face, they will track you down, and eventually this whole fucking oppressive apparatus will come after you. And no sane person should do that. Because first thing first, and first thing should be your own life and your own safety. So if you see that, like, Russian people don't protest, all Russians support war, no. It's because people understand the consequences of their actions. And they do not want to end up in the custody of absolute fucking fascist, evil pieces of shit. Like police, like the fucking KGBs, prison guards, the fucking psychiatric ward staff, and so on and so forth. You do not want to end up in places where you no longer have freedom, or you cannot even engage sort of in a fist fight, so to speak. Like if there's some kind of a fucking scumbag tries to rob you on the street, you can punch them at least. You can do something. You can defend yourself. Against police, you basically cannot, because resisting the police, essentially, that's already a sentence. Boom. You already got fucking 4 years or 6 years. And then they can brutally fucking torture you, they can rape you, they can do anything with you. And who's gonna help you? Nobody. Literally nobody will help you. So you must do anything and everything to not end up in places where you no longer have freedom of movement, freedom of your own sort of bodily autonomy. And this is what a lot of people do not understand. They just don't understand how severe this whole situation is inside of these atrocious fucking dictatorship regimes like Belarus and Russia. People just don't understand, don't realize how bad it is. I hope I'm doing something with these videos. I hope at least some people at some point will get the fucking idea, will get the fucking message. I hope so. And I wish all the strength in the world to these people, to this lady, to Victoria, and to thousands more like her who have been locked up because of their views, because of their anti-war and anti-Putin position. Their whole lives are ruined. I just hope that they still have life. That they're not gonna get killed there. Which isn't something new either. I just read just a few days ago, 61 years old pensioner woman who was against essentially war was sentenced, and now she died in jail. It just happened a few days ago. People just don't understand the whole severity of this thing, of living in these regimes. So no, when you see some stupid fucking social fucking questionnaire or whatever, social poll, like how many people support fucking party and the leader and the war, and if you see some high numbers, it's all fake, because if you are smart, you will never tell on camera or like to anybody like polling you on the street that you are against the war, that you are against this regime. You will never tell it, because you value your own freedom. You value not getting jailed, not getting killed, not getting tortured, raped, all that fucking shit. You will never, if you're a smart person, you will never tell to anybody what you really think. The people who you can speak to is maybe like your family members, maybe like few of your closest friends. This is back to USSR 100%, when everything was forbidden and even your neighbors could rat you out and shit like that. It's full back to USSR already has happened, and even worse. It is a fascist fucking Germany, even though it was Nazi Germany. It's a fascist Russia. Because Nazis had an ideology. Russia doesn't really have ideology, besides this is one big state, we want to fucking kill everybody else, essentially. It's a fascism. Almost like word by word dictionary definition of it. So, yeah, I just want people to understand this. I just want people to understand that had it not be for this absolute oppressive, disgusting, repressive apparatus that has been created, or rather that hasn't been destroyed properly when the USSR has collapsed, and the fact that KGB fucking pieces of shit weren't illustrated, weren't like the archives weren't opened for people to actually see the full scale of the atrocities that those pieces of shit committed, because none of that has been properly done, neither in Belarus nor in Russia. That cancer continued to spread, and now we've got what we've got. Yeah.